Hey, it's Sarah, and we are outside doing some garden stuff today. I wanted to give you some updates as far as what's happening in the garden because it is the beginning of the growing season here in Virginia, at least Zone 7. So I'm going to show you some of the new things we have going on, but I also have some kale that is from last year that overwintered that needs to get pulled out now. So I thought I could bring you along while I harvest that and get that pulled out of the garden bed. And this year I think is going to be a really exciting year for the garden because we're trying a few new things. We've already got a couple new things going. We have some other things in the works. So I wanted to tell you all about that because, you know, last year was our first year here in this house, and so last year we didn't really do too much new stuff. We did a few plants, but we were really trying to just see how things were going, learn about the property a little bit more, you know, where got good sun, where didn't get the best sun, and all those other kinds of things, so we could go in with a little bit of a plan. So last year we didn't do too many things, but this year we have a little bit more knowledge about where we think will be the best place to put different things, so we're starting some new stuff. Also, Jason is cutting the grass, so if you hear that in the background, that's what's happening. But let's go ahead and walk around. I'll show you some of the new stuff, and then we'll get to work on that kale. So the first new thing we have is a new compost setup that I am very, very excited about. So here it is. We built a pallet compost bin, and I think this is going to be awesome. It's something I've wanted for a while. For the past, since we moved in, we've been using this, which was here from the previous owners. It was actually on the other side of the yard. So since it was already there, we just kind of used it. But we really wanted to get something different going. And here it is. So it's just 5 pallets. We got them for free from our local feed store. And we screwed them together and they look good. The big thing if you're making a pallet compost situation, now I'm no expert, but this is what I have learned, is that you want to look for ones that are heat treated. They have this HT symbol, not, there's some that can have MB, which stands for methyl bromide, which is not what you want in your compost situation. So if you're looking to do this kind of thing, that's kind of a tip for what to look for. But we kind of divided the compost into 2 sections as we were pulling it out of the bin. So the stuff at the top was not as broken down, so that's this side. And then this side is the more finished stuff that was on the bottom. And we're starting off with this 2-bay system right now. We might add a 3rd over there in, there we go, that kind of spot, potentially. But right now we're just going with 2. The benefit of having multiple bays is that you can, have a more like active working pile and a more finished pile. So that's kind of the idea here. And then this, we're just keeping it here for now. Right now we're using it for leaf storage. So when you can't really see down in there. Yeah, they're shredded leaves. So when we shred leaves from the garden, because we add those to the compost too, right now we're just using this for that, but eventually we'll probably do something different, but right now it's working and so we're going with it. But I am very, very happy with the new bins already. You can tell they're a lot bigger. I think they're gonna be a lot more practical. I think we're gonna have more success with the compost and hopefully be able to use it. You can turn it when it's in a situation like this, which you can't really do when it's in that kind of enclosed setting. But we're gonna see how it goes. It's an experiment. It's our first time doing it this way, so there may be some snags along the way, but we'll just have to see. But I'm also really happy because we put the new one in a better location relative to the house, so it's easier to get out here and put the compost in the bin, but also relative to the different growing areas. So I think when we're pulling the finished compost out, it's also going to be a little bit more practical in that sense. And this is a nice little sign of the warm weather here. It's not food related, but this is one of our hydrangeas. This was also here when we moved in, and I pruned it back earlier in the spring, which is my first time doing that. So new learning experiences all around. I looked up some videos on how to do that, and I think it was successful. But you can see it's putting out all this new growth, so that's exciting because I like having this here. And now that we are in a place where we're going to be here for a longer time, I am thinking about and learning more about the non-food plants, more the landscaping side of things, adding more of these perennial plants, which wasn't really the mode I was in, I guess, at the old place. So that's fun too, just because there's so many different plants to learn about and different things to try. So I'm always trying to learn more about that too right now, so we can figure out what kind of things we like. And also just identifying, like this was pretty easy to identify as a hydrangea, but there's a lot of plants around the yard that we still don't really know what they are. And that is part of being in a place where someone else has lived and has planted things, is trying to figure out what everything is. Last year we were able to figure out a lot of stuff that we just kind of already know, and can say, hey, that's that thing. But this year we're doing even more digging into, you know, there's lots of different plants all around here that I just don't know by sight. So we're learning a lot of things too as we try to identify the different plants, figure out what they are, what they need, and all that sort of thing. The other thing is some of these front flower beds. The plan is to move some of this stuff. This is like some sort of climbing rose that's just here without anything to climb on. I don't know if they hoped it would go up on the porch or whatever. So some of these things that we don't want to get rid of, but like, I just don't know that I want this here, and we got to figure out where to move it and what we want to do. Same with some of these azaleas. They're fine. I think I'll relocate them, but I don't know that I want them right here. And it's a similar situation over on the other side. There's another azalea here. This rose bush, which gave us some really, I need to come out here and prune off some of the old buds, but it has really pretty flowers, but it's just kind of sitting here, just like an island. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to get rid of it, but I don't know that I want it here. So I'm trying to learn about how to take care of it, but also if we want to move it, where do we want to put it? And then in terms of food production stuff, we're looking to add some new garden beds this year. We worked with what was just kind of here last year, but now we want to start expanding, and we have a little bit of a plan, but we're hitting a couple snags already. So this is the bed we used last year. It was around a tree that used to be here. When we moved in, it was just kind of a pile of dirt and mess, and one of these sides was falling off, and Jason replaced that, and we put in these little stones so you could kind of get into it like a keyhole style bed. But there was a tree that used to be here long ago. It fell on the house like in the past, and like they had just left it here. And so we were like, okay, well, let's convert this thing. So we fixed the sides, we put in soil, and we planted mostly tomatoes here last year, and this kale, which is our big project. It's not a big project, but the main thing we're trying to do today is get this out. So we'll look at that in a minute. But we had this last year. You can see we have some peas planted this year. We've got some, I think these two are a snow pea, and then these two are snap peas. So I'm using the tomato cages, and you know, we've had these for many years now that we made, and the peas can grow up them. So I've got them kind of planted in circles, but they're all coming up. They're starting to put their little tendrils out, so hopefully we'll get some snow and snap peas soon. But all of that to say, we used this last year, but we were thinking, what if we added beds on either side? You know, do a keyhole style here, a keyhole style here, and then maybe end up actually converting this to the same thing like next year, because I wanted to take advantage of that this is ready for planting now and I could do my peas, but eventually we'd want it all to match. The problem is this is not centered because it was just around whatever tree was here years ago, so it's like 1.5 feet off from being centered on the house. So we'd want to build these kind of in their final spot, knowing that we're gonna move this, but that puts this up against here. So that's one thing. The other problem, you may recognize these are the old timbers from the garden at the old house that we pulled out. We might be using these to build the beds. I don't know, there's a little bit of a complication there. It's really sunny out here, so I'm gonna have to kind of go like this. But the issue is that so we wanted to build raised beds out of wood, what most people do. But it's really hard to get the wood to build the beds, especially at a reasonable price. Right now there is a shortage, and it's for many reasons. One is people being home more, doing more house projects, garden projects, all that kind of stuff. So there's a higher demand in that way. There's also this big housing boom that's happening, lots of new houses getting built, so that's increasing the demand. And then also, I guess the supply is low. This is just, you know, from what I've been reading about. So if you know more, feel free to let me know. But also there's a supply issue because of, you know, the very important like mitigation measures and stuff to keep workers safe who are milling the lumber and all that kind of thing. It means that not as much can be produced. So there's a few different stress points, but it's making the supply lower, the demand higher, and which means you can't get anything and it's really expensive. So then Jason's come up, well, first we thought, okay, maybe we use the old garden timbers. They're kind of not ideal, but we could do that temporarily and then replace it with new beds. It's more work, but it means we'll have garden beds this year. Now Jason is on this idea of, should we do stones and build stone beds? And he's coming around on the lawnmower right now, so wait one second. Hey, mowing man. I was just talking about your stone raised bed idea.
Yeah? How great it is?
Well, we haven't really gotten into it. Jason, share your ideas.
Well, I just thought we'd go stone because it lasts a long time. It wouldn't rot. Cedar is impossible to find right now. Looks nice.
My concern is that it's too permanent.
I think you're overly concerned about how fast we're gonna move this a second time.
Well, I just don't know. Like, what if we hate it? I don't know.
Oh, I'm not gonna hate it. I mean,
I have commitment issues, I guess.
wait, what?
How'd the lawn mowing go? Are you done or what?
Well, I gotta get the push mower out for the various push mower spots. And there was a big rock that I didn't know was there, so like I hit something, all of a sudden it started smoking, and I realized like the blade got jammed in there.
Oh,
but luckily,
yikes.
did a quick turn off, rock fell out, and everything's still working.
Okay.
So, we're good, we're good.
Okay. So anyway, all that to say is that we have a plan, but it's also in flux right now. So we will see what happens and we'll just go with the flow. That's just what we're doing around here. We just go with the flow. We're not gonna stress about it. But it's a little frustrating when you feel like, oh, this is what I wanna do and let's just do it. And then like, there are all these little things happening. But whatever, we'll make it work and we'll just have to see what happens. The other thing we have are these 3 like tiered things. They're made out of plastic, like heavy duty plastic. Jason's parents got these from one of their friends who, I don't know, they moved or something or they didn't want them anymore, but they're fine. And his parents didn't need them, and so we thought maybe we'll use these somewhere around. We have a lot of trees, so having spots where we have sun is a little tricky. So if we could put these in some of the places where we do have sun and fill them up, they could be good, and they seem pretty heavy duty. And Jason even thought, could you put like a facade or something if we thought they didn't look great, because it is a little, worn, but it's still fine. So this is another possibility. We just got to figure out exactly where we would want them. But point being, we have a lot of different options of things we can do. And we have a couple other garden projects we're trying to do. I'm going to try to utilize some more containers, just so we can really take advantage of those spots that have lights. We did that last year and that worked out really well. So I kind of want to expand that to more places. But also I have some plants coming in the mail. So I ordered 3 blackberry plants, 3 golden raspberries, and then 2 fig trees. So those are coming. They should be here relatively soon. I'm like watching the tracking, so hopefully they'll be here soon. And then we're gonna have to put those in, which I'm really excited about, because that is something that we've, again, never really done before, is plant perennial things that are gonna take a couple years to get going. But in the end, we'll have some nice fruit production, which will be really good. We have a lot of wild berries around here, which I love and will definitely be picking and eating, but I really wanted to try growing some cultivated varieties too and have some different options. So I'm excited about those. And then when they get here, we'll just have to put them in and see what happens. So lots of new things going on in addition to the kind of tried and true things that we've grown for several years now. But it's getting warmer every minute out here, so let's get this kale pulled out. I'll show you more of what's happening there, and we can get that harvested and cleared out of that bed. So here it is, and this has been here since this time last year. I planted it in this spot. It's grown. We harvested off of it. Then it kind of went dormant for the winter. It grew a little bit, but with colder temperatures and less light, it wasn't growing anymore. Then in the spring, it really took off. It has put out all of these side shoots along the stem, because this whole thing was totally naked except for the top part here until very recently. And now that it's getting warmer, it's starting to, go to flower. Look at that. So we could let it bloom and do its thing, but I kind of want to get this kale off of here. And once it starts to go to flower, things start to get bitter and all that kind of stuff. So this has really shot up in the past couple days. So I want to get this cleared out. We'll harvest everything that we can, and then we'll pull out the rest of the plant, and this area will be clear for new planting things for this year. Well, look at that. That is a lot of kale off of that one plant. It's a little wilty because it's hot out here, but we'll get it inside. It'll be fine. And this is the main flower that was coming off of the top. How beautiful. And the flowers are edible, so, you know, they kind of taste like broccoli because kale and broccoli are in the same family. And broccoli is the flower part, like the part that you eat is the flower of the plant, so that makes sense, but you can eat them. And in addition to this kind of main flower that's coming off the top, there were lots of little flowers too off of some of the other branching sections. I ate a lot of them when I was picking. Oh, here's one. See, you can see that little one right there. So definitely, you know, you can eat those, so don't throw them away if you're in a similar situation. And then we have this left, this giant stalk that we need to pull out. And I mean, look at that. It is huge. It is huge. It's just amazing to me how robust this plant is. And, you know, plants just want to grow. So it's a massive stalk, grew a massive amount of kale. Now we're going to pull it out. So I'm hopeful that maybe I can kind of push the dirt aside and it will come out pretty easily and I won't need to get any tools. But who knows what the root system on this thing looks like. I mean, down in there. All right, we're getting some movement. This might be a little harder than I thought. Ugh. Whoa, okay, here we go. Wow. Okay, there's a lot of roots here. Let's knock this off and we'll take a look at what we've got going on. Look at that, look at all those roots. Let me lay this down here on the pavement. Hopefully we'll be able to see. So this is the main stem. You know, this is a plant I started in the house last year. It was just a little itty bitty baby thing when I put it out. I mean, look at that. And then look at all of these roots. We've got a few like giant ones and then lots of little ones, but that is a nice healthy plant, obviously. So cool. So we're gonna run this over to the new compost pile. It all comes full circle. I guess it'll break down. I mean, I could try to chop it up and make it break down faster, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, you live here now. Break down and make some nice new compost for us. All right, well, I think that's it for me out here today right now. I'm gonna get the kale taken inside and in the fridge and all that kind of thing. But this is really fun. I'm excited to be out here doing garden stuff again. It's really exciting to have the new season starting, and there is more of this on the way. More garden things, lots of new projects, planting plants, harvests, all that kind of stuff. So know that that is coming, and I hope that you enjoyed coming along with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.